Hey guys, Ryan here. So I'm gonna start releasing podcasts now that I didn't release originally, either due to like technical or video issues. This one's with Caitlin Walker. I did it about 2 years ago, and as you can tell, within about 5 seconds of starting to watch it, I forgot to press the power for my audio, so it's just me not using the microphone. I thought it wouldn't work out, so I never ended up releasing it. But yeah, here it is. It's with Caitlin Walker. Try to ignore my problems here. I think the rest of it turned out pretty well. But yeah, so here's Caitlin Walker, and everyone enjoy. Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before we get into it with our guest here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Caitlin Walker on the podcast, coming to us all the way from Arizona, where, I mean, good God, I'm starting to break a sweat right now just even thinking about Arizona weather. But she's an IFBB pro, and she's on here to share her health and fitness journey and basically just talk all things health and fitness. But most importantly, she's our current guest. Caitlin, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I asked this to every single guest first off, so I got to start off. What's the weather like in Arizona today?
It's hot. It's sunny, beautiful, but hot.
I mean, that's just what you get there. I mean, I'm from Minnesota. I mean, once it reaches about like the upper 80s, that's when it's too uncomfortable for me, where I just absolutely hate it. So, yeah, it's just a different breed of people down there in Arizona, where it's like, yeah, it's 110 degrees, but as long as you get everything done before 6 a.m., everything's fine. It's like, oh yeah, that's a great way to live life. But no, but that's just before I depress everyone. I mean, because that could get into a whole tangent. Why don't you first off give us just your backstory and what really inspired and motivated you to get in shape, and how that led to where you're currently at right now?
It's really quite the story. So I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I've always been into sports. I actually played field hockey and lacrosse for pretty much half of my life. I'm 32 years old. I got a scholarship for lacrosse where I'm from in Buffalo, New York. And that's kind of how I went to college for the first semester. Of course, I didn't do too well in that, but I've always been a tomboy, always loved sports. I prefer gym class over study hall when you had that option in high school. It's like, I'm not going to sit there and read. I'd rather go play dodgeball or something. So, I mean, it's always just been in me. My real father, my parents are split. They've been divorced since I was 2. So my real father, he was actually a bodybuilder back in the day as well. So I think maybe it's just kind of in my blood, it's in my genes to do something that kind of satisfies me in that way. I got it, around a bad crowd of people in high school. It happened. Experimented a little bit, went through a lot of stuff. My stepbrother ended up committing suicide when I was 16, so that kind of was a downward spiral for me. I didn't really know how to suppress the feelings I was feeling and whatnot. I got into some pills, got into the drug life, and it honestly was like that for probably 4 or 5 years. And I lost my passion to work out. I lost my friends. I lost everything. It came to a point where I actually overdosed twice in a matter of 3 days. And my family at that point wanted nothing to do with me. My friends wanted nothing to do with me. So I didn't know what to do. I was literally in a hospital, no money, no car, no phone. And I knew my sister lived in Arizona at the time. I was 21 years old. At this point, I've already been to so many rehabs. I've been to jail, just anywhere to keep me off the streets. Mind you, I didn't mention my parents are retired detectives. So, I mean, they have had their way of like knowing what I was doing, but not knowing, just to kind of get me out of the path that I was headed down. But of course, being 20 years old, I mean, I didn't want anything to do with my parents. So my sister was in Arizona at the time. This was 2011, and I literally just took a one-way ticket out here. I left the hospital with just the clothes on my back, figured out a halfway house to stay in out here in Phoenix, Arizona, which was Crossroads for Women. I will never forget that place, because truly, like, that's why I'm still here 10 years later. I had, like I said, nothing but the clothes on my back, so I truly had to figure my life out. And I was only 21 years old at the time. 21 years old, I'm landing in what seems like it's the desert. I'm in Arizona. So, I mean, I come from water and greenery, like Buffalo, New York, Niagara Falls. The first thing I did was cry. I mean, I saw nothing but brown. Like, what the hell am I going to do out here? So, long story short, I mean, I stayed in the halfway house for a couple months. It was affordable for me because, again, you're paying like maybe $50 a month, or $50 a week, I should say. You have to get a job. You're getting randomly you know, drug tested. And I knew at that point in my life, because of everything I've been through, that I wasn't going to go back to drugs. But I was scared shitless. I was 21. I didn't have anybody out here but my sister. And again, to me, halfway across the world. So I was just like lost. I remember calling my dad almost every day crying like, I can't do this, like I don't know anybody out here, like yeah, it's easy to get clean because I don't know where to get anything or I don't know anybody. So I mean, it truly saved my life coming out here and taking a risk like that. I was able to get out several months later. I was able to save money, buy my own car, which I was never able to do. So I bought my own car. I got out of a halfway house. I got my own little apartment, which was wonderful. And then I found my passion for fitness again. That is truly what saved my life. I would walk to the gym. I would take a bus to the gym. Like I would do whatever I could to get myself to the gym because that was my therapy. I would be in there lifting for hours. I mean, of course, it started with cardio because all girls are like, I don't want to get too big or I don't know what's going to happen. But God, I'm still trying to get big and I've been doing this for 7 years now. So I just became hooked to it. And then later down the line, I started meeting more people in this industry at different gyms. And eventually I got with my coach, Damian Segovia. He's with the Pro Physiques, and they're very well known in Arizona. They're actually in Gilbert, Arizona. But I got with him, and they weren't even that big back 7 years ago. Nobody really heard of all this bodybuilding and whatnot. So that team truly saved my life too, and my coach, because he had a pretty similar like tough life as me, and we could bond in that sense, and he understood what the gym meant to me. It's truly my safe place. It's my haven, and anytime that I have a hard time, even now, that's the first place I go to is the gym. Put on some headphones and I'll just do my thing.
That wow, that is just such an amazing story, and that's just, I mean, so great that you're able to, transform all that into a journey into fitness. And when you were getting started into fitness, was there like a specific moment that you decided that you want to give bodybuilding a try, or was it just an accumulation of moments where you're just like, hey, this sport seems interesting. It seems like I might be interested in it.
Well, I get very bored very easily. So for me, once I started seeing the results in the gym and I started cleaning up my diet, I actually had a friend that was like, "Oh, like, do you compete?" And I never even heard of it. Just a coworker. I'm like, "No, I don't even know what that is." And he jokingly was like, "Oh, you should go to this place. It's right down the street. I always see like hot girls that are, like have really big muscles in these bikinis." I'm like, "Okay, buddy. Like, yeah, it sounds great." But I ended up checking out the place, which was called the Pro Physiques, because I got my car windows tinted there. Like it was so weird. There was a car place right next door to their facility. So that's the reason how I was like, oh, I'm going to check it out. I mean, it's right there. And I talked to the owner, who is Whitney Jones. She's very, very well known. She's the Olympian. Well, she was the fitness Olympian for many, many years. So she owns the facility with Damian Segovia. And what they do is they just talk to you first, like, what are your goals, what are you trying to do? And that's how I learned about competing. I just knew at the time I wanted big muscles. I wanted to feel strong because, again, I've been through a lot of shit in my life. So as a woman, I wanted to have muscles. I wanted to take care of myself, and I didn't want anyone to essentially hurt me, like, oh, I don't want to mess with that girl. I kind of wanted that. But again, starting off, I didn't have the muscles I wanted. So I, of course, wanted to start in figure. I wasn't able to do that. I had to do bikini first and, build myself up, which, again, many people don't understand. Like, it takes years, years of consistency, of training, of diet. Just, it's a lifestyle. It's not just for 4 months out of the year.
Yeah, I mean, we're both millennials. I'm 26, but there are still so many people that, especially in our generation, who just they want everything now and they want it yesterday. Where it's like, yeah, well, just Amazon that thing to me, yesterday, basically. And this is the one lifestyle that you can not get into and expect to see those results. And again, though, if you do see those results, give me or her a call, and I'll gladly pay you my entire life savings then to train with you then, because I mean, you have found the secret that everyone's looking for. But I also love to talk genetics on this podcast because everyone's on social media and I hear this all the time. Oh my God, I want his arms. I want her abs. I want their back. And it's like, you can only be the best version of yourself. I don't know how many times I've wanted to like shake people down and just be like, you do not understand. You can do exactly what that person does and you will not look just like them, because everyone's just built differently. But on top of that, whenever someone first gets started working out, they always have that one body part that really, really takes off that they don't have to train as much. and they always have
Right.
that one body part that just lags behind that they have to train to oblivion to get to catch up. I mean, my examples are my back, just because I worked jobs all throughout college of, lifting in warehouses and stuff, or lifting boxes and loading boxes in warehouses where you got a really nice back, you quit. But I'm also 6'3", so my legs and my lower body are just absolutely shot, where I mean, I could train them into oblivion and they wouldn't gain an ounce. I've always made the joke I could inject pure muscle into my legs basically, and they wouldn't gain anything. It's just built. Don't even get me started on calves. That's the number one genetic thing where I don't care what you're talking about. Those are. But what were those body parts for you when you were getting started? What was one that really, really took off, and then one that really you just had to train into oblivion?
I think it's pretty obvious. My Instagram is called Meatball Barbie because I am short and stocky. My legs have always been there, and what a lot of people don't know, fun fact, so my legs have always been one of my biggest insecurities because even to this day, like of course now it's a little harder, but in high school, middle school, I could not find pants that truly fit me. Like my legs have always been very thick, and then the waist would be, they'd fit my legs, but the waist would be huge, or they wouldn't even go up my legs, but I know the waist would fit. So being 5'4", and I'm 100 and like 58 pounds now, but I've always been like a heavier set girl because I'm short and stocky, and as people know, muscle is always going to weigh more than fat anyway. So I don't focus on the number that I'm always seeing on the scale. It's truly how I feel. But I've always had these legs, thank God. And I do feel like sometimes genetic absolutely plays a huge role in it. My father had great legs. My mom has good legs. I, however, don't have an upper body and I don't have shoulders. This is something I've worked on for 7 years. And being that I wanted to go into the figure division, which I was able to, they have huge shoulders and back. I have a good back, but again, it's just these shoulders will only grow so much and get so big that it is what it is. But I'm still working at it, and there's still improvements that I see, as small as they are. But I know at the end of the day, I'm never going to have these nice, rounded, cupped delts and shoulders that I see some of these figure pros have. It's just not in my body.
I mean, yeah, and I can tell you, out of all of the guests I've had on, shoulders for women, I think has been the number one answer, and that's just, yeah, that's one thing that I really just think it's just like that. But yeah, I just always find it just so amazing that like you're talking about, like 5'4", 158. Like there's so many people that swear by the body mass index scale, but like if all the bodybuilders I had on did it, they would be considered, like, some of them would be considered like severely obese. So that's why I always
Right.
use that example to tell people, it's like just because you might, like, so many people, there's so many factors of that. So anyone out there who's like doing the body mass index and they're like, oh my god, I'm fat, you might not be fat. It just might be just that you have more. So I just always like to bring that in, because like, think about if like Rich Piana did the BMI thing. He would have been like
Right.
morbidly obese basically then by that thing, and it's like, no, I'm pretty sure he's not. But yeah, so I always just got to bring that out there. But I mean, nutrition is the most important thing when it comes to this lifestyle. I mean, it's 80 to 90% of the results that you're going to see. What were some of the big nutritional changes that you made when you first got started?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't think I mentioned started going to college out here for dietetics after I began the whole competing. I was so interested in truly the
Arizona
science.
State?
No, I actually I've been in community colleges. So I'm
No,
at it.
no, good. Because I was gonna say, like, if you were a party girl back there and you go to Arizona State, the biggest party school
Yeah,
in the nation,
no,
I was like, that's a disaster waiting to happen. Yeah.
it truly is. I could never do that. It's fun out here, but yeah, no, I completely changed my diet. Being from New York, I don't know who watches this, but it's that typical old school Italian. That's how I grew up on the East Coast. We ate a lot of bread, we ate a lot of pasta, we had 7-course meals all the time. It's like a lot of food, but it's not, there was really no nutritional value behind it. I didn't understand that you needed to have a certain amount of proteins, vegetables, and carbs. That's a full meal. Your proteins and vegetables should kind of be about the same size, and your carbs should be a lot smaller. I didn't really understand even water. Water is very, very vital for working out, for building muscle. I never drink more than maybe 2 water bottles a day, and that's what, 16 ounces in a water bottle. I drink at least a gallon of water a day. And I mean, I live in Arizona. Anyone in the desert should be drinking at least a gallon of water a day. You're sweating so much out here. But once I figured out the food and how much I needed, as they say, 1 pound of body per 1 ounce of protein, if you're trying to build or add size, is what you need. So if I'm 155 pounds, I need at least 155 ounces of protein to sustain or to build. And I didn't understand any of that. And you don't have to measure every little bit. Once you're doing it for so long, you understand protein is going to be like the size of your palm, or if it's fisted over and small, like you just kind of know by looking at the sizes, like, okay, this is going to be enough for me. Same with the vegetables. I stick to just very basic, anything that's green. Again, I went to dietetics for school, so I understand that leafy dark greens is great for visceral fat, which is the fat that goes over your stomach essentially. If you want to pull it, it's skin, but it's visceral fat. It's protecting your muscles. So anything that's dark, leafy green is going to help remove any of that. Just the more I learned about food and how it made me feel too, I was like, okay, this works for my body. This works for me. I know that red meat, if I eat say beef, it's going to sit in my stomach for a little longer. So that's not something I'd want to eat necessarily right before I work out. I just kind of learn what works for my body.
Well, I just found the most impressive thing is that you only drink a gallon of water a day in Arizona. I mean, I'd probably get dehydrated if I only drank a gallon of water. I mean, I would basically just need IVs in both arms, like constantly following me around with like gallon water jugs, just like constantly putting water in my system if I was there. So hey, that's more power to you. I was like, damn, only a gallon of water, jeez. But yeah, that's just I mean, I could get in a whole Arizona tangent, but I've never been there. But I have a friend that lives in Flagstaff where he says it's nice because it's a little cooler there because they're up in the mountains.
Oh,
But still, it's like, oof, geez, that's for me. I mean, like I said, I'm breaking a sweat now, even just thinking about it. But I mean, the number one thing that I was most shocked by when I started this podcast that I would have never guessed in a million years. I mean, I was familiar with it because like I said, I followed some bodybuilders, but I wasn't really that into it. But is that for so many of these competitors, posing is the hardest thing for them. I mean, I would have never guessed that in a million years, that it's harder than their nutrition. It's harder than their working out. What has your experience with posing been like?
and I'm probably not the best at that, but I tell people they should be practicing every day, and I don't even do that, but you really should be. Practice every day. The closer you get to the show, the more exhausted you're going to be. You're not going to want to practice. I mean, and you're in front of people. It's not like you're in front of a mirror or your phone. When you are practicing, you always have something that you're looking at so you know what you're doing. I mean, it's exhausting though. It's truly like working out. You're posing, you're flexing, you're breathing in to say, I don't know if you've heard of vacuums, but a lot of people are in vacuums now because it brings your waist in to look very small, your stomach, everything. So imagine kind of holding your breath while you're posing and squeezing everything in and flexing. I mean, it sounds silly, but like it's really hard. Sometimes your muscles will cramp up, as crazy as it sounds. You'll be flexing your quads and you'll just all of a sudden have this stinging pain, like, oh my God, from doing it too much or from not having enough water. I mean, it all depends. It is so hard.
I mean,
I even started
oh, go ahead.
in, I suggest like, that's something my coach suggested. I don't remember when. And that will definitely make you pull water a lot faster too. Posing in the sauna is like a whole nother level of difficulty.
Oh my God. I mean, and just people just don't understand that you're going to be more sore from your posing than you are from your workouts just because the body's not meant to be in that flexible state that amount of time. But I mean, being a figure competitor, the number one thing that most people struggle with when I ask them, like with posing, is flaring those lats. Was that something that you struggled with? Because we've had guests on here that it's taken them years to learn that. And then we've also had those like 1%ers where it's like, oh no, the first time I did it, it's fine. But where'd you fall on that?
So I still kind of struggle with that. I feel like I can open them up, but for me, it's when I'm working out, sometimes my form, and I even know this because I do take my own videos truly so I can see the form I'm doing. It's not always exactly precise. I believe that if you're working out 5, 6 days a week, you also need to be doing body work. And again, I need to be better about that, as in getting scraping done, cupping done, some type of deep tissue massage, because as you're working these muscles so hard and so often, things kind of get twisted and locked up. And for me, it's always been my back. And it's always the one side that I have an issue with. So I can even feel it when I'm trying to open up my lats. But that's always been a struggle. I feel like the back, they even teach you like little tricks to do, like to try and help you open it up. And it just takes time. It takes a lot of time. The back for sure, but for me, my legs are one of the easiest things to pose. Again, because that's my favorite body part, and that's one of my body parts I feel like that shines. So I know how to flex those and make those work for me.
I mean, like with the lat spread, I always tell people it's sort of like riding a bike, where once you learn it, it's like so hard to unlearn it, really, where it just becomes second nature. But what is that moment like for you when you get to walk up on that stage? You know, after those months upon months of just going through basically a living hell that is prep. What is that like for you when you finally get to walk up on that stage and you'll show off all that hard work that you've worked so hard on?
It's so crazy because I'm actually a very, very quiet, private person. My Instagram, I feel like, does show who I am in the sense that I hike and I work out. I'm a free spirit, and that's it. But when it comes to me being really out there and wild and social, that's not me. So going on stage at first, that was really frightening because there's hundreds of people up there. But it's just so empowering. I just almost get such a natural high, if that makes any sense. It's like this crazy adrenaline rush. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm not even Caitlin. Once I have my makeup on, I have my suit on, my heels, I'm a completely different person. And I feel confident, I feel strong. And at that point, I'm like, hell yeah, I worked really hard to look like this, and I'm going to show everybody what I do. Like, you can do this too. So it's just such an empowering feeling. I remember the first time I did it, even being a bikini girl, and I truly didn't like how I looked being bikini because I felt small and I'd never wanted to be in bikini. But the feeling I had when I went on stage was just like indescribable. And that's really what got me hooked. I just kept on going 7 years later, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the most I can ever compare it to is when I pitched in front of 4,000 people in the state tournament. Where yeah, you just have that moment where you're just like you're just not even like in your own body really, and it's just yeah, sort of an out of body. But a question that I ask, you know, all the IFBB pros on the podcast, because some people that are maybe be listening to this for the first time don't understand that for a lot of these competitors, winning your pro card is the highlight of your career, just because that is the affirmation of, you know, all that hard work that you put into it, and you can finally compete in pro shows now, and it's really your moment then. And what was that moment like for you when they announced your name and you realized, oh my God, I'm a pro now?
I get emotional, but
Not a problem, no worries. I'll edit it out too. It's fine.
it really meant a lot for me because, again, at that point, I've been competing for 6 years before I turned pro, and life always throws a curveball. So it's funny. I always knew in my head, as cocky as it sounds, and I was dating a guy for 4 years while I was competing for these 4 years, and he never supported it. He hated it. He never even followed me on Instagram, as crazy as it sounds, because I'm always posting my body. But funny, like, my dad passed away July of 2018 unexpectedly. And 3 months later, my boyfriend just up and left. I was with him for 4 years, and he just literally disappeared. And at that point, I truly felt like there was nothing else that I had to lose because, and I was in a prep already when I lost my dad. And he knew, like, again, that was the bodybuilder. He knew all about my life, and he was so happy and so proud that I found bodybuilding. And he always knew that I would turn pro. So I just put literally everything that I had into that prep. So 9 months after my dad passed, I turned pro. I turned pro that month he passed away. So 3 weeks later was like his 1 year passing. And I mean, I get goosebumps because at the end of the day, for years, I told myself, like, it's going to happen. I'm going to turn pro. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm in control of it because I'm in control of my food. I'm in control of my workouts. My coach can tell me everything that I need to do, but at the end of the day, I'm putting the work in. I'm doing the action. So I knew nothing and no one was going to stop me. My boyfriend left. My dad is dead. Something happened to my dog. I'm like, F this. I'm giving this all that I have. And I turned pro. I did it. So sometimes the most painful things, at least for me, really, really push me to be my ultimate best.
Oh wow, I mean that's yeah. Talk about motivation. I mean that's just and yeah, I just can't imagine, especially with all that extra added stuff. But what that must have felt like when they announced that name, and yeah, that's just so great. But I mean, a myth and stereotype that I also love to bust on this podcast, and so many people just don't understand that look that you present on stage is not sustainable. You're not going to look like that 24/7, and I think it's just because a lot of people just post contest photos or like when they're in prep, and people just don't understand that like no, the body's not meant to be in that state for that long a period of time because I mean, we've heard some horror stories on here. People putting on, like 40 pounds in like a week, and it's just, yeah, people just don't understand all the manipulations that you've done with your body, whether it comes down to your water or just all the supplements, and they just don't understand that that look is not sustainable. And some people do try to keep that look, and it does end up hurting them, and you're not going to have as longevity of a career. But what was that like for you when you first realized that, hey, my body's not going to be able to sustain this? And has it gotten easier for you to accept that as your career's gone on, that like, hey, I'm going to have to put on some weight after the show?
Right. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I'm going to be honest, to this day, I still struggle with that. I really do. And you'll hear it all the time. A lot of people in bodybuilding have body dysmorphia. They may not admit it, but we all definitely do have.
It's like
It's,
99% of them. Let's be honest. I've talked to like
yeah,
400 of them, and I can tell you it's like 99%. There might be one or two that I've talked to where like they legitimately don't have it, but everyone else, yeah, does. Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a real
Yeah.
thing. And like I said, I still struggle with it. The first show I did, I didn't really have knowledge of any of reverse dieting. You may hear that a lot, or don't go crazy after your show because you worked so hard and you're going to rebound and all this food's coming back. And I didn't really listen. I had, drinks after my first show. I had pizza because I haven't had pizza in so long, and all the salty, fatty foods that, I could have, but in moderation. And of course, when you're not eating for so long, the foods that you truly enjoy and love, sometimes you just kind of lose control. So it took me, I think after my third show, I finally was like, okay, I'm going to be smart about this because after you do that, you feel like crap. It's not just, oh, my body looks like this. No, I truly felt like crap. I didn't want to go to the gym. I was bloated. I couldn't put my belt on properly. So I know, again, when I'm eating the foods that make me feel good, I can work out and I can still enjoy my life. I still enjoy cookies. I post about that all the time. I eat crumble cookies twice a week. I eat burgers. I eat pizza. As long as you're still supplementing with whole foods, you can truly do that and live a well balanced life. But in order to grow, you have to add fat. You have to add other foods and feel uncomfortable because, again, as cliche as it sounds, that's where you grow. Comfortable spots aren't gonna show any growth. Being uncomfortable is gonna give you any type of growth. So I've had that. I've had to be fluffy, we call it, or oh wow, you don't look like that all the time. No, it's not healthy and it's not sustainable. Like it's just not. You can still look great and feel great, but just have a little bit more fat on your body, and it's okay.
No, 100%. And I compare it to starting your own business where you got to spend money to make money. You got to put on weight if you want to put on muscle. I mean, unfortunately, those two
Right.
do just go hand in hand. And yet, so many people just don't realize that. And they just think that, oh, I got to look like this forever. And it's like, well, more power to you,
But
but, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's just, it's something. But yeah, it just goes along with all the stuff that people see too. And yeah, that's why I love asking that to every bodybuilder that I have on, just so I can, and do my part in helping people just realize that like, hey, no, that's not sustainable, because we've heard so many times people see bodybuilders in public that are in their off season, they're like, oh, so you stopped bodybuilding now? So that's, and they're just like, oh, no, I'm just in my off season.
yeah,
But yeah, we've heard that quite a bit. But one of the things that I also love to talk about, because it is my trigger word, I hate it more than life itself, is cardio. I mean, I absolutely hate it. But when I say cardio, I mean like actual running. Like I can go on walks and hikes and stuff like that, and that's no problem for me. But the actual running aspect, it's like, oh my God, I just dread it more than anything else. What is your relationship with cardio like? Because unfortunately, when you do become a bodybuilder, you sort of have to sign a deal with the devil to do cardio.
right. And that's just, that's a given. You have to do cardio. For me, it's funny. I have truly not stepped on a Stairmaster since the prep I did where I turned pro. I just was like, F this. I was on that Stairmaster for the last week, twice a day for 45-minute sessions each time. So I was just fed up with the Stairmaster. I've tried everything for cardio, walking at an incline. The Stairmaster I feel like is always going to be best for bodybuilding because you're working everything. Your quads, your glutes, your legs. A lot of people don't do it right. You should never have your hands holding on anything. Hands should always be free. It should just kind of be like you're walking up the steps. So, I mean, I've learned that biking is even better for me because I do have knee problems. And again, my legs are the one thing that I really have going for me. I love them. So it gives you a great quad pump. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, oh, it's just, you're just sitting on a bike. Well, actually try biking or try biking up a hill or something that's going to change the way that they feel. There's different gears for different bikes. I know that Pendleton bike has been really popular lately too, but something like that, I used to do a lot of hit where I would do ball slams, I would do battle ropes, and I truly enjoy that kind of cardio. So I still do that to switch it up. Sleds. People are always like, oh, you're going to do sleds. It reminds me of football or this or that. Well, then change it up. Do something where it doesn't remind you of that. Because again, sleds, you can do so many different things. You can push it, you can pull it back while doing hops. I mean, you can, there's just so many different variations to cardio that people, again, if you're bored, change it up. That's all.
Yeah, people do not understand that literally every day there's like 10 different methods of working out invented. So there's literally going to be something for you eventually. But yeah, I mean that cardio, that's great that you haven't had to do it for go on that Stairmaster, because yeah, I mean, I just absolutely hate it. But yeah, it's just
Horrible.
yeah, it's great that you're able to find what worked for you. But I mean, sleep is also, I mean, it's the most important thing. Screw nutrition when I said that. It's sleep is, because anyone that disagrees with me on that, I always tell them, pull an all-nighter and then go and try to work out and tell me how that goes. I did that twice in college, and both times it did not end well. But I mean, yeah, sleep, that is the biggest difference of whether or not you're going to have a good day in the gym or not. But what is your current sleep schedule like? Because I mean, I have some people on this podcast who are those freaks that can function off of like 4 hours a night, and then I have the other ones that need like 10 hours. But where do you fall on that? And is there anything that you do to help yourself get the proper amount of sleep? Because so many people in this day and age struggle with that. I found.
Right. For me, luckily, knock on wood, I've always been really good about my sleep. My schedule is a little different. I do work evenings, and I've always kind of had that schedule for the last 8 years, I would say. I bartend and serve a few nights out of the week, and I come home pretty late. And for me, unwinding is really just not really talking to anyone when I get home. I read a book because that gets me tired. So I might put on the TV for a second, but as soon as I know, like, all right, I should get going to bed, I turn the TV off. I don't look at my phone, and I read a book. And as soon as I start reading for 5 minutes, maybe I get tired, and then I just go to bed. I truly need maybe 6 to 7 hours of sleep. I find for me, if I get 8 hours or more, I'm actually more tired. I don't know why. I don't know how it works, but for me, that sweet spot is truly 6 to 7 hours. I feel good. I feel rested because I'm a morning person. Even though I work evenings and late nights, I still love to enjoy my mornings. Sometimes I want to be on a mountain to see sunrise, or I want to ride my bike. Like, I'm in Arizona, so before it gets 100 degrees, I want to enjoy my morning.
All right. Well, since you are a hiker, I was never going to plan on telling this story on the podcast, but since you are, this is a quick little tangent so I went all the way up to Duluth, which is, a pretty mountainous place where the iron ore is and stuff up in Minnesota, to visit a friend who's going to the University of Minnesota Duluth. And one day, he was in class, because I went there on like a Thursday, and then like that Friday afternoon he had classes while I was like getting ready for a party or something. So I decided I'd go on a hike. So I went up to, one of the mountains there, and I went on, and this was like early in the morning. This is like 10 a.m. or something. I brought one thing of water with me, like one of those like little tiny, like itty bitty ones that I brought with me. So we can just flash forward to about 7 hours later. I had gotten lost. I had literally just been like, it was so bad that like when I finally saw houses, like I was drinking from their hoses and stuff like that just to like get some water. And it was horrible. And eventually I think I did my steps, and I got like 70,000 steps just that day, just like walking around.
Oh my.
And yeah, so like I literally it was like 38 miles or something like that. Like I ended up walking that time. But so literally what eventually happened was my phone was running out of battery, and my friend wasn't picking up because he was still in class, or I think he had to work like part-time after that too, and he was getting off at like 6 o'clock. And so I literally dialed 911 when my battery was at like 5%. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to pass out here. I'm on like the middle of the road, and I didn't know where I was. So they called the fire truck, and they pumped me full of like 8 Powerades that I just chugged down. And then the funny thing was, what eventually happened was that my car was literally parked like 2 blocks away from where I'd called them, and I didn't know what it was.
Gosh.
So yeah, that's my Duluth hiking story. So yeah, the moment that I saw that you're a hiker, I was like, oh, so yeah, I'm not gonna go hiking again. I don't even care if I do all the precautions. I mean, it's like that got me good. I mean, I did my fair share there, but yeah, I was definitely. And the thing was, I was only planning on being up there for maybe like an hour at the most, just like walking around. But the next thing you know, like the trail got all mixed up, and then I did save a dog. I did save a dog though when I was out there though, because the dog had run away. And then the owners were chasing after it, and then I picked it up and then like held it and waited, and then I called the owner, and then he came and picked it up. But that was the early part of my hike, so I wasn't asking for like directions or anything like that, because that was like an hour in. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. But Oh
Oh
my
my
god,
god.
yeah, that was definitely a journey. But back to your story, because that's I'm gonna save like a whole podcast to really go over that, because there's a lot more stuff that happened there that would take us like a full hour to do. But back to your story. I mean, if someone were to walk up to you and say, Caitlin, we made the decision, you can change one thing about the sport of bodybuilding, and everyone would go along with it, what would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
God, I don't even know. I would say maybe have the divisions stick to exactly what they are. I feel like sometimes, especially for the women, and I think it's now starting to happen with the men, because women now have this wellness division, right? And I'm a huge fan of it. I plan to eventually compete in that division because I am so bottom heavy. That's what that division is for. Big glutes, big legs, small upper body. That is me to the T. But again, I feel like sometimes, depending on who judges and who's there and what show it is, they kind of go back and forth with the proper poses. Because I know the wellness pose has changed quite a bit, just like classic is being brought back into the men's, and it's similar to bodybuilding or physique, men's physique. So I mean, figure is its own thing. They stand out like that, but I feel like wellness and bikini are almost too similar. Even though wellness is all about bigger glutes, bigger legs, it's just, well, where is that line? It's just a very gray line of, am I bikini or am I going to do wellness, and what look are they going to stick with? There's the Brazilians, that is wellness to a T. And then if you're say doing a show in California, some of those girls aren't going to look like that, so they might look more bikini. I just feel like they should have more like strict lines of, this is what you need to look like for bikini, for figure, for women's physique, women's bodybuilding, just so everybody knows. They need to have the same poses, not what works for your body.
Absolutely, because I'm gonna be completely honest. There are some times where I've seen bikini and wellness competitors, and they look exactly the same.
Right.
That sometimes it is, and it's like, well, then why are there even like two divisions then if they're really doing that? But then there are some competitors where I do see like a little bit of change in it, and I was like, oh yeah, I see it's a different division. But yeah, just to be a little bit more in that too. And the thing with me though is the impartial judging, where it's like, yeah, one week they might want you a little bit more of a fuller look, and the next week they might want you a little bit more of a leaner look, and it's like, well, good luck
Right.
changing then. And it's just, yeah, if they just had that overall consensus where it's just,
Sometimes there's just no consistency, and that's why I'm glad I have a coach, because a coach knows what show would work best for you and your body. Like for an example, on the East Coast, I know this, and I've done shows on the East Coast. They are going to come in a lot harder, and harder means they're going to have very, very dry skin. You're going to see all the veins and muscles. Where on the West Coast, those shows you come in softer, so you're not so like lean and scary looking, if that makes any sense. There are plenty of shows like that, so you have to know where you're going to shine.
yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's that is too, and also just with judges individual, yeah, you might be like, oh, she's judging here, so I might not place. I mean, I've heard, so many stories on that. But now, I mean, now that we're slowly coming out of a pandemic, and I mean, let's be honest, some people have put on some weight during this, and not myself included. I put on my 10 to 15 COVID weight pounds that I'm looking to get rid of. But what advice do you have for people just looking to get back in shape, or just get back in the gym in general? Because I think this is like a very unique time for people who, now that they might have a little more freedom, they do look in the mirror and they're like, oh my God, I kind of let myself go, which is understandable. But what advice do you have for people just getting started? Because I found for so many people, just taking that first step in the gym, it is so hard to walk out of there without getting a workout in.
Right. That's really it. You just have to make a move. All you have to do is decide, today I'm going to do it. Don't wait for a Monday. Everybody always waits for a Monday. Like, oh, Monday I'm going to do it. I'll wait till the weekend's over. What? Do it on a Sunday. Do it on a Saturday. It's just small steps that make such a huge, huge difference. Say you drink a lot of Gatorade or a lot of iced tea or something that's juicy during the day. Why don't you swap that out for just water? It could be that simple. Or in the morning, wake up maybe a half an hour earlier and go for a walk. Wake your organs up that way, or wake your body up that way. As soon as you wake up in the morning, have a glass of water. It's just these small, little, simple steps make a huge difference in the long run. And it's as simple as just drive to the gym. You'll sit in the parking lot maybe for a minute, and I've done this so many times, especially for cardio. I'll drive to the gym and I'll be like, I don't want to do this. I mean, and I have that still. I don't want to do this. I don't feel like working out. I worked for 10 hours today. I'm tired. As long as you make it there and you sit and you think, you're like, all right, I'm here. I'm just going to go in and we'll see what happens. I have never regretted ever doing that. Never. So you can sit there as soon as you walk into the gym. It's like, all right, I'm really glad I came. I feel better.
Yeah, the only workout I've ever regretted is when I hurt my wrist. That's about it. Unless you get injured, you're never gonna regret it. You're never gonna regret a workout. But I mean, let's be totally honest. You're not the average-looking 32-year-old woman, which I've always found so fascinating. Is that with bodybuilders, if you're to walk out in public dressed the way that you are right now, you might get some stares, you might get some extra added attention because when people see something that's not of their normal, they're just like, oh wow, that's interesting. And I compare it to sort of being like a mini celebrity, and I can't even imagine being a bartender dealing with some of the drunks then that are just like, oh, let's arm wrestle. That must just be
All the time.
especially when you're on prep. I mean, good God. But what has that been like for you? Has it been easier for you to adjust to that, or has it been something that's really you've struggled with, just realizing that like you're going to get so much more attention now?
Right. And I didn't realize that because, again, I'm actually a really quiet person. I don't like the all eyes on me. I've never been that person. But it took me a while. And I kind of have that New York attitude. And people on the West Coast don't really understand that I can be a little bold and abrasive, you can say. So if I do see someone staring at me, I'll be like, can I help you? What's up? Like, that's just who I am. What's up? A lot of people do say weird stuff. When I bartend, sometimes I do wear a little dress, and especially being in prep, it can look scary. Somebody who doesn't look like me, and I have my veins popping out, and you can see my muscle because I'm so lean. And people want to sometimes be a smart ass, like, oh, you don't work out. So you kind of learn to like joke with people, like, no, I don't work out at all. I just eat pizza and ice cream every day. Simple. Or people want to arm wrestle, and I'll pay you $5 to arm wrestle. It's like, at the end of the day, you have to remember these people aren't living the life that I live. So to them, it's a joke, but to me, like, I've worked years to look like this, and I'm sorry that you don't appreciate it, or you want to mock me or be like, oh wow, you got some guns. But people aren't going to ever understand at the end of the day if they're not in it. So you just can't take things personal. Like, some nasty comments even from women, like, well, why do you want to look like that? Why do you want to be so big? And it doesn't matter. Like, I have my own reasons, and I don't need to explain it to people. But you have to remember to not take things so personally. And I've been in the restaurant industry for years, so I do have tough skin. Again, dealing with the public every day, all day. You got to do it for you and have confidence about it.
Yeah, I tried being in the restaurant industry, but I'm one of those people where I don't like to take any shit from anyone. So literally,
Yeah.
that didn't work out for me. And you can even just tell by the comments that I post when someone talks shit on this podcast. I just come right, just because it's like I'm at that point in my life where I'm just like, screw that. I don't care. But are you kidding me? $5 for arm wrestling? I do that all night. I don't even care if I lose. You still get $5. It's like, you kidding me? That's yeah, absolutely. But no, yeah, I remember in college when I was a lot bigger, going out and stuff like that, you'd have girls come up and like feel your arms. So, but let's be honest, it was the college years, so I pump it up for them a little bit. It's the Ryan Johnson college years. It's a different period in my life. It's a little bit different now, but yeah, it's just so different. But yeah, if we were to talk to you, Caitlin, a year from today, where would you like to be at in your bodybuilding? Where would you just like to be at just in your overall life? What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved if we were to talk to you a year from today?
So I would like to, at least, this is the ultimate goal, is to have some points towards Olympia. I feel like anyone that's in bodybuilding, that is, they say, the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. Everyone envisions being on that Olympia stage. And I don't want to say that will never happen, but I just think that would be awesome to start racking up some points towards Olympia. For me, a year from now, I want to win one overall being pro. I think that would be awesome to just win an overall, or to at least place top 3. That has always been the goal, because being pro, you start, you actually win money then. And I've never had that. It's funny, when you're not pro, you're spending all the money you have. And people don't understand how expensive it is. You need to work because these shows, the suits, the makeup, the hair, the heels, your coach, the training, the diet, all of that costs a lot of money.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If you're not a pro, it almost seems like a Ponzi scheme, kind of. If you're not a
Right.
pro, because it's like people do not understand that you are not making. Even when you are pro, you're not making the big bucks. I mean, unless you're like the
Yeah.
top 1 or 2, then you can maybe live off of that. But otherwise, it's like, yeah, this is not. That's one thing that I wish about the sport too, is if they offered more money, where like people could actually make a career out of it. Just going on the stage part. Like they don't have to become like a personal trainer on the side or anything like that. Like they made it like $1 million prize for like the Miss Olympia or the
Right.
Miss or something like that. But yeah, that's the only other thing that I'd really wish too as well. But where are you currently at in your journey? Are you just doing an off season now, or are you about to get ready for a prep? Where are you at in the overall scheme?
Right now, I am in my off season. The plan, I would love to do a show at the end of the year. So I'm gonna see if my coach thinks that could be something that we can do and work on. Because COVID hit everybody. It hit me too. Like, my life has completely changed since it. I'm looking at all the positives now and I'm turning it into that direction and seeing how I can grow and build from it. I'm happy that we're starting to kind of get back to normalcy, whatever that is, because I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. Like, I love this stuff. I love this sport. This is the lifestyle that I live. So for me, it's not even work, as crazy as it sounds. Like, I enjoy prep. As soon as I'm on prep and I know, say I have 15 weeks or 12 weeks, it's like a switch just automatically goes off and I don't even think about anything else. It's like, all right, we're here to work. We're going to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. It really is just a switch when it comes on and off. But is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
I'd just like to give a shout out to AZ Pro Physiques and Gilbert because they truly have changed my life. And that's how I'm where I am right now. I mean, truly, I don't know if I would have even gotten as far as I got into bodybuilding or anything like that. And especially my coach, Damien Segovia, I want to give him a huge shout out because, again, like he coaches a lot of people. And at the end of the day, he truly does it because he wants people to succeed. He cares. He cares about the sport and he understands it. I don't think he coaches that much anymore because he's been doing it so long. I mean, I don't know how the guy can function with all these clients all over the world and Olympians. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's a community and I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, you guys, I highly recommend everyone go and check Caitlin out. I'll leave a link to her Instagram page down below. And, like I always tell people, buyer beware. You will get inspired to, get in shape and stop eating those Twinkies and get off the couch. But again, you guys, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.